Now, what if Jimmy Garoppolo never overthrew Emmanuel Sanders in Super Bowl 54? Now, Jimmy Garoppolo at one point was considered the savior at quarterback for the 49ers. Remember when he initially first got traded from the Patriots to the 49ers back in 2017? And we had to wait a couple of weeks to see Jimmy Garoppolo play. Then when he came in and was the starter for the 49ers, he went 5-0 to close out the season. And everybody was labeling Jimmy Garoppolo the next great quarterback, the savior of San Francisco's franchise. Then he gets injured in 2018. Then he comes back and he leads San Francisco to a 13-3 record. They go to the Super Bowl, and it seems like one play has defined Jimmy Garoppolo's career. Now, in the fourth quarter, it was 3rd down and 10. There was 1 minute and 33 seconds left on the clock. The 49ers were down 24-20. Garoppolo drops back. He has Emmanuel Sanders, and he overthrows him. And after that incompletion, that game pretty much sealed the victory for Kansas City. Now, imagine if Jimmy Garoppolo completed that pass to Emmanuel Sanders. San Francisco ends up either scoring a touchdown or they end up in the red zone, and most likely they probably end up scoring and maybe winning the Super Bowl. Imagine that. Imagine how everybody would view Jimmy Garoppolo if that one play went the right way. Imagine, there were people who out there who were considering Jimmy Garoppolo to be a fringe top 10, top 12 quarterback. And after that play, everybody just makes it seem like the 49ers can't win with Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's crazy because in that Super Bowl, from what I watched, Jimmy Garoppolo outplayed Patrick Mahomes for the first 3 quarters. Now, Patrick Mahomes balled out in the fourth quarter, but Jimmy Garoppolo outplayed Mahomes for the first 3 quarters of that game. And if you don't believe me, go back and rewatch that game. There's no way you could tell me that you didn't believe that Garoppolo was the best quarterback on the field for the first couple of quarters all the way to the fourth. Now, the difference is that it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Mahomes started slow, and he finished the game strong. Ended up leading Kansas City from behind. They scored 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. San Francisco put a donut on the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. So I understand that's what makes great quarterbacks. It's about what they do in big situations. And we saw what Patrick Mahomes did in the big moment. In the big moment when Patrick Mahomes had to step up, he stepped up and made the plays that he needed to make for Kansas City to take home the Lombardi. When Jimmy Garoppolo was asked to step up and help San Francisco win the Super Bowl, he came up small. That's what defines the great quarterbacks from the good quarterbacks and the good quarterbacks from the average quarterbacks. The best quarterbacks are able to step up in big moments and are able to make the big plays despite not having the greatest of performances. The average quarterbacks, they come up small more times than not in big moments. Similar to like Dak Prescott. Remember what this whole viewpoint was about Tony Romo also. So it seems like the same stigma people had about Tony Romo, people have about Dak Prescott. He comes up small in big moments. So you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, I understand that in that Super Bowl he came up short. But I still don't find it reasonable to believe that no team can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I understand the 49ers traded up to the 3rd overall selection to draft North Dakota State quarterback Trey Lance. Now, it looks like Jimmy Garoppolo is on his way out. It looks like San Francisco wants to move on from him. And that's understandable because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, maybe they look at Jimmy Garoppolo, and it felt like Jimmy Garoppolo has reached his peak. This is a guy who, yes, when he's on the field, he's a solid quarterback, but he can't stay healthy. So I understand the injury aspect of why to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, but the narrative that people in the media and a bunch of you guys watching this keep saying about Jimmy Garoppolo not being able to win the Super Bowl, not being able to be a franchise quarterback, I find that hard to believe because this was a guy who went 22-8 as a starter in San Francisco. Remember, Kyle Shanahan, there were a lot of people who questioned the hiring of Kyle Shanahan after a year or so, and then he gets his guy Jimmy Garoppolo in. They end up going 5-0 with Garoppolo at quarterback, and all the naysayers are doubted. Okay, so then Jimmy Garoppolo comes back from his injury in 2019, leads into the Super Bowl, and now people are trying to say that Jimmy Garoppolo is not good enough to get a team back to the Super Bowl, even though he took a team to the Super Bowl in the past. I find that hard to believe. You see, it doesn't make a lot of sense. That's like saying you get an A on the math test, you will never be able to get another A on the math test. If you got an A before, why can't you get an A again? If Jimmy Garoppolo was able to take the 49ers to the Super Bowl once, why can't he take the 49ers or another team to the Super Bowl? I find that hard to believe that Jimmy Garoppolo's career has been defined by this one big moment that he came up short. Because that's what it seems like. And you can say it's because of injuries, not being able to stay healthy. I can understand that. But that's not what the narrative is when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. It seems like Jimmy Garoppolo, his whole entire legacy, his whole entire pro football career has been defined by him overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders. If Jimmy Garoppolo overthrows Emmanuel Sanders, okay, then everybody looks at him as the reason why San Francisco lost the Super Bowl. But if he completes that pass and the 49ers win that game, he probably wins Super Bowl MVP. He's probably regarded as a top 10 quarterback, and the 49ers wouldn't have been drafting Trey Lance. It's crazy how one moment in your life can define people's perception about you. And it's crazy, but that's just the God honest truth. I remember one time I got in trouble in 9th grade, and all of my teachers labeled me a troublemaker. I got in trouble one time, got labeled a troublemaker. Let me tell you guys a story. So back in 9th grade, a couple of years back, this was 2016, my freshman year of high school, I had this biology honors class. Now, I'm not going to say my teacher's name, but we're going to call him Mr. Paul. So Mr. Paul, around December, you normally get midterms, or they call it a mock EOC in high school terms. So what the mock EOC is, they basically want to see how much have you learned up to that point of the school year. Now, I asked him, hey, what's the mock EOC going to count for my grade? He said, no, it just was to see what you learned. And I said, okay, so why should I go hard on the test that doesn't really matter? I'm not going to get a grade on it, and it's not going to help me in any way. So why should I take it serious? So you know what I did? I Christmas treated, because what's the point of me wasting my time trying to go hard on the test that didn't matter, essentially? So I ended up having the lowest score out of anybody in that test, well, on the test, from all his biology honors classes. He looked at me, he said, JT, you're not going to pass this class. And I said, what you mean? Like, I didn't take it serious. Like, there was this one girl, and I'm not trying to be a snitch or anything, but it was this one girl who was over there in the corner who literally had flashcards. This girl had flashcards, and she was cheating the whole entire time. But meanwhile, he doesn't catch her cheating. But I'm the guy who's going to fail this class and not going to pass because I chose not to take a mock EOC serious, a test that didn't matter, a test that wasn't going to affect my grade, a test that didn't affect whether I passed or failed the class, a test that was just pretty much made to see how much I knew. Like, how can one person be defined by one test? How can one person be defined by one play? So he told me I wasn't going to pass. You know, I told him, I said, listen, if I pass the test, you got to let me come up during the summer, buy a pizza, and we got to listen to whatever music I want to, because at the time I was playing football, and during summer, the football players would go around and help out teachers who were moving into their classrooms or moving to different classrooms and set up. So I told him, when I pass this test and when I pass the OC, I want to order a pizza and I want to blast whatever music. And he said, okay. But I don't think you're going to pass. So a couple of months later, spring break rolls around. Now, the mock EOC, for every standard that you failed, so there are like a couple of standards. So for every standard that you were in the red or yellow on and you didn't have mastery, you had to get a spring break packet for it. So since I Christmas treat the test, I had about 20 spring break packets. And guess what? I didn't do any one of them. Because I told them, I said, listen, I know the material. I just didn't care because it didn't matter. So you think I'm finna go ahead and do these 20 spring break packets, then you're sadly mistaken. So he said, all right, you said that you're going to pass the OC. You're not proving me that you're going to pass the OC. So I told him to watch this. So I didn't do any of the spring break packets. I had a 0 in the class at this point. Then the EOC comes around. Now, normally, I don't know about you guys, but normally high school teachers, if you pass the EOC, they change your grade to like a B or an A. So pretty much he said that if you pass the OC, everybody gets a B or an A, or I'll change your grade for every quarter. So I take the OC, and guess what? I end up having one of the highest scores in the state on it. So as soon as I got my biology honors EOC score, and I saw that I ranked top 5% in the state of Florida for my biology EOC, I emailed him. I said, hey man, when can I come up and get my pizza and we can listen to the kind of music I want to listen to? I told you I was going to pass. He said, whenever. It was like August or something. So he said, when I got to the classroom there in August and I was helping him set up his room, he was like, I always believed in you. I was just doing that to push you. You know how all those teachers be like, oh, I always believed in you. Man, stop all that cap, man. You ain't believing me. But I just find it funny how basically my whole entire time in that biology class up to the point before I took my EOC was defined by me Christmas treeing a mock EOC that didn't matter. I find it funny that Jimmy Garoppolo's whole entire career as a 49ers is defined by him having one play that went wrong. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Garoppolo still has nightmares about overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders. And I bet Jimmy Garoppolo would give up everything right now to have a chance to redo that play. Because one moment has essentially defined Jimmy Garoppolo's career. Jimmy Garoppolo went from a top 12 quarterback to, after overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders, to being one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And all of a sudden, teams can't win with him. It's really funny how the world works. It's really funny how you have to make the most out of every opportunity. You really do. In life, you have to make the most out of every opportunity you get, because if you mess up one time, that's going to define you. Nobody talks about Jimmy Garoppolo being 22-8 as a starter for San Francisco. Nobody talks about what Jimmy Garoppolo has done. He's been fully healthy. Everybody just talked about what Jimmy Garoppolo hasn't done, what he hasn't accomplished. And what he hasn't accomplished was being able to win the Super Bowl for San Francisco. It's funny because even if Jimmy Garoppolo still got injured after winning the Super Bowl, the 49ers wouldn't have replaced him. People wouldn't be considering Jimmy Garoppolo one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. People would just be like, well, he can't stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. It's crazy the arguments that we will make for people off of what they do in big moments. It really is. Because think about how different people would look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Perception is everything. Okay? How people perceive you matters. Don't let nobody tells you, it doesn't matter what other people think. Okay, I understand that. But in the real world, sometimes it does matter what people think, because your perception or how people perceive you can determine if you get a good job or not, if you get into a good college. How other people perceive you and how other people's perception of you can have a big impact on how your life goes. For example, my hair. So a lot of people could look at my hair and they just be like, oh, you're just a typical Florida boy. And especially when I have my hair globbed up. Like, I have so many people in the comment section that say, man, you have a lot of potential. You have a lot of talent doing this. But if you ever want to get to the next level, maybe get hired by ESPN or get 1 million subscribers, you got to do something with that hair. That's just people's perception about me. And they're not lying. If I ever wanted to get hired by FS1, ESPN, or another major sports company, I probably would have to take my globs out, or I probably have to do something with my dress. That's why most of the time you guys see me with my hair in a ponytail now, because there have been sponsorships that I've been probably missing on because of how I look, because of how people perceive me. Perception in life does matter. A lot of people can say it doesn't matter what other people think about you. Yeah, that's somewhat true when it comes to friends and whatnot. But when it comes to the business world, perception is everything. So for Jimmy Garoppolo, him missing Emmanuel Sanders on that 3rd and 10 play with a minute 33 down 24-20 in Super Bowl 54 to the Kansas City Chiefs has pretty much make people have the impression that he can't win. He can't win a big game. He can't make the big throws. And it's crazy because remember that year he went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees? He went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. He was pretty good in the playoffs, even though San Francisco ran the ball a lot. But he was a good cog in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Now, all of a sudden, people think that Jimmy Garoppolo just is trash and he needs to be replaced. It's crazy how one defining moment in your life can change everybody's perspective about you. Do you guys remember what people were saying about Jimmy Garoppolo before the Super Bowl? People were considering Jimmy Garoppolo a top 12 quarterback. Some people were considering him a top 10 quarterback. And then he overthrows Emmanuel Sanders, and all of a sudden, you can't win with Jimmy Garoppolo. You got to replace him. He gets injured. That doesn't help his cause neither. If he wins Super Bowl MVP and the 49ers win that Super Bowl, he never overthrew Emmanuel Sanders, he still would be the unquestionable starting QB in San Francisco, and San Francisco probably would have never drafted Trey Lance. You know what San Francisco probably would have done? They probably would have traded for Teddy Bridgewater, Gardner Minshew to be their backup in case Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured. So it's crazy how one play has defined Jimmy Garoppolo's career, and everybody just thinks that Jimmy Garoppolo is just this bad quarterback that nobody can win with, which I find false. Jimmy Garoppolo, if you put the team around him, he can win. He was a winner in San Francisco. He was supposed to be the saving grace for the 49ers. And he overthrows Emmanuel Sanders, and look what happens. But if he completes that pass, everybody looks at Jimmy Garoppolo completely different. One play has defined Jimmy Garoppolo's career up to this point.